Good morning, traders. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. And let's go through the risk disclaimer. And hold on just a minute here. I'm still getting set up for your questions. All right, there we go. Okay. Trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so what we're going to do in the webinar here is introduce you to Bookmap, go through the website rather quickly, just show you or define what Bookmap is, who uses it, how to connect it to the various markets, and then how to get it. And then we're going to jump into the user interface and start to define the elements on the Bookmap chart, what it's showing you, and how to use it. So we're going to go through basic order flow. That's what you get with this webinar, as well as our YouTube page and other resources, and I'll show you those as well. When you subscribe to Bookmap, though, you get an advanced education. Okay, you get a 4-part educational course that's available to you online, and then you're able to attend the advanced order flow webinars, and those start at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so in another like 26 minutes. And we go through the advanced analysis of the order flow, really start to understand, dig into the details, and then we start to anticipate where price might move based on the order flow. So when you subscribe to Bookmap, you get education. So we won't leave you hanging there with a software package that you don't know how to use. It's something that really offers you an advantage here, but you have to understand what it is and how to use it to your advantage, okay? And that's what the education is all about. All right, well, let's just jump into the website here and bookmap.com and scroll down a little bit here. So what is Bookmap? We are a software trading platform. We have a unique way of visualizing the market data, and that's our advantage. Let's see, Sun, you have a question here. So should we stay or different link for advanced? Oh, we can go over stocks, we can go over digital currencies, and we can go over futures. Usually we go over futures since in this webinar or the advanced webinar, because that's what most traders are looking at is the stock index futures. It's really, I mean, this webinar is for you guys, so whatever you guys are looking for, we can cover, all right? Yeah, it's a different link to the advanced webinar, all right? So, and that's for the subscribers, okay? Now, I do pass that link out on Friday, so you guys can get a taste of what we do in our education. So that's available to you, all right? Else, then just subscribe for a month and check it out. Right, so let's continue on. We've defined what Bookmap is and who uses it: day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants. We come from the quant HFT environment, and Bookmap was originally developed to show where we were getting filled in these algorithmically dominated marketplaces here. And we wanted to know the details. We started to note, though, that this visualization was pretty powerful and very helpful, not only on very, very low time frames, sub-second time frames, but also on very high time frames, and I'll show you that today. So swing traders, even position traders use Bookmap because they're looking for that advantage for optimizing their entries, exits, and their trade management. All right, so it's not just a scalping tool here. Getting an edge, you can read more about this here. Pretty important information, but we're going to go through this, a lot of it in the webinars. Connectivity, this is important. Okay, how do you connect? And let's go over this. Okay, so Bookmap connects to 3 different types of markets: futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Now, the data for the digital currencies here is free. But for US equities and for futures, you will need to provide the data, okay? We are software. We're not a broker. We're not a data provider. We're a software package, all right? So for US equities, the way you connect is through DX feed. Okay, you will need a subscription to DX feed. It's the only way that you can connect Bookmap to the equities for now. Okay, for the futures data, you can connect many ways here. Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact Data, IQ Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro, which is Brazilian markets. That's how you can connect Bookmap with the futures. There's also another way as well. You can see 3 different platforms here: TTX Trader Pro, NinjaTrader, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. You can connect to those 3 different platforms via the API of the platform. Okay, so you go through that platform, but we don't recommend that. It's better to connect directly to the data provider. I shouldn't say recommend. It's just better to connect directly to the data provider. Okay, you're going to get cleaner data instead of going through another channel to get your data. All right, testimonials here, and let's scroll down a little bit more, and then how to get Bookmap. Okay, so you can subscribe yearly here, or you can subscribe monthly. You get a discount if you go yearly. Okay, and there's a few different packages that are available here. And let's just go through the details. So you can see there's 2 for digital, and then there's 2 for global. For digital, this means this is for digital currencies only. Okay, for global, this is all the markets. Okay, it gives you access to all the markets, futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Now you can see this digital version here is free. Okay, it's you get access to only 1 digital currency at a time, and it is for GDAX, BitMEX, Bitfinex, or OKCoin, and you also get a US equities delay data, but for the digital currencies here, it is one currency, but you always have access to a live market. Okay, that's the key here. In that live market, it's open up, 7 days a week, and that's the digital currency environment. Anyway, if you are interested in equities, you do get a delayed feed here. If you're a futures trader, you can replay a file. However, if you guys want live data, then you're going to have to go with the global version. Okay, so that's the digital free version. The digital plus version, okay, what you get is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into a funded GDAX or BitMEX account. You can record and replay your data. You get multiple instruments, okay, per exchange, up to 20 different instruments. You also get the advanced education that I mentioned at the start of the webinar, and you also get full support. Okay, you don't get that with the digital free version. Okay, now, if you want to connect to the other markets, the futures and the US equities, then you need to go with the global version. Okay, and you will need to provide that data, okay, for futures and for US equities. Okay, and that's the big distinction there between global and digital plus. Everything else is the same. The global plus version here, what you get are our proprietary add-on indicators. One is the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart, setting orders, moving those orders. This is a big advantage because you have the liquidity heat map in front of you. You can front run high liquidity, hide your stops behind high liquidity, etc. That's a really nice advantage that other platforms, they just don't show that. They don't show that liquidity heat map. The proprietary indicators that we put together, okay, well, this is very specific for order flow. One, for example, is our large lot tracker. This allows you to see the majority of liquidity by a specific player. That's going to, maybe they're bullying the book, maybe they're just showing their liquidity. I mean, larger players can have up to hundreds of contracts at one price level exclusively. So we want to know what the larger players are doing, and our algo can detect that. Okay, we also have some imbalance indicators for the book and for volume. We also have an iceberg tracker. Okay, this allows you, again, to see larger players that don't want to show the amount of liquidity they have. Okay, they don't want to scare the market away by showing excess supply or demand with limit orders. So they'll use hidden orders. and our algo can detect them. We also have correlation tracker adding different markets right onto the Bookmap chart. And of course, with all the paid versions, you get the advanced education and full support. All right, so scroll down a little bit further. Just want to mention another resource here, our blog. You can also click on up here to access our blog. Some other important resources. Our Twitter feed here, all sorts of good stuff here every day. So you might want to take a look at that. At bookmap_pro is our Twitter handle. And then our YouTube channel here as well. There's all sorts of videos on the front page, intro videos, features and components, etc. So you might want to check that out for kind of basic education. All right, well, let's take a look at Bookmap and jump right in. And what are we looking at here? Okay, well, first off, I'm going to close up some of our add-on indicators. Okay, we have a sub-panel here, as you can see, for cumulative volume delta. We're going to close that up here. And then we have this blue line here, which is a point of control indicator. And then this white line here is a historical VWAP, which we like quite a bit. And there's actually some really interesting stuff happening right there at the moment. We're looking at here the NASDAQ E-mini. Okay, so and we're testing this VWAP here. So let's see if the buyers are going to try to get it above VWAP and try to get a move to the upside here, or are sellers going to sell off of the VWAP here and get continuation to the downside. Anyway, let's close some of these up. We just want to look at the basic Bookmap chart and define the elements here. And I'm also going to close up our iceberg detector. There we go. Okay, so what are we looking at here? For those of you who are new, this might look rather foreign. It's actually, and very complex, but it's really very straightforward data here, okay? And we're looking at kind of higher time frame here. So let's zoom in a little bit and define the there's just three elements on this chart, and let's define what those are. Okay? Let's zoom in a little bit more here. All right, so the three elements on the chart are the current and historical best bid and offer. Okay, there's no aggregated data here. And then we're also showing the volume that traded on that historical best bid and offer. And then the third element is the heat map. And the heat map is this, what you're seeing outside of the transactions. Okay, well, including transactions, of course. But the heat map is showing liquidity. And we're showing you where buyers and sellers are. And we're recording it. We're showing it in the current market and historical market. Okay, so for example, look at this 74.35 area to over 200 contracts there. And we're coming down right now to test it and see if those guys mean business or not here. And there they go. Okay, they just traded, right? So this is fact. Okay, let's just take a look at this here with that heat map. 130 of those 200 actually traded. Okay, so some of it was pulled, but majority of it traded. A little bit more than the majority. So you can see them, I'm sorry, zoom out a little bit more. I zoomed in too much. 166 traded, okay, out of those 200. Okay, so you can see that, you know, maybe 40 contracts were pulled, but the majority here, there's no question. This is fact. These guys down here, they got what they wanted. There's larger players here. They are now long at this price level of 74.35. Okay. So a lot of times you'll hear traders talk about, well, I don't really look at the dome or the depth of market. It's all fake liquidity anyway. This is fact. It's not fake. 166 traded. Okay, so we know that. Let's see if you can see we traded through it, but now we're trading up above it. Okay, we'll see. Like maybe they'll show more liquidity again here and be buyers again. Okay. Actually, I see them down here at 32, right? But let's see if they want to absorb, and maybe they're even a little bit lower here. And yeah, they are 31, 32, 30, and 28. So let's define what this liquidity is. What am I talking about here? Define the heat map in some detail here, because this is the main advantage you're going to get with Bookmap is understanding liquidity here. Okay, we also show all the details here in the volume and the microstructure. And I'll go over that in just a second. Okay, but let's just go through the liquidity heat map. Okay, so to do that, we need to take a look at our DOM, our depth of market. And this white line here, this is the divider between the historical market to the left and the current market to the right. Okay, so you see this dash red line, that's the best ask, current best ask, and the green line is the current best bid. This number here is the last traded volume. Okay, you see the price ladder here. Okay, and then this COB column, that's the only one I'm going to go over for the moment, is the COB column. It stands for current order book. Okay, so zoom in a little bit more, and what we're looking at here is liquidity. Okay, these are sellers above current price. They want to be sellers at these levels. Okay, down below current price, they want to be buyers. Here they are on the bid. Okay, so these are limit orders, and we're starting to understand the auction, and we're starting to understand their behavior in the auction as well. Now, the problem with a regular DOM is you see these numeric values here. Well, you know, when you look at a DOM, they're always shifting and changing. Once they change, though, those numeric values change, we don't know what the history was. Okay, how much liquidity was there before? Did it trade? How are they behaving? Were they front running it? Were they, you know, maybe a little bit bearish on the bid and lowering their liquidity, pulling it and adding it to lower levels? All these kinds of details is very difficult to track in a DOM, okay, because it's just you know, a lot of numbers. So what we do in Bookmap is we take these areas of high liquidity and we'll paint them into the heat map. So look at this 7433 area here. Okay, 88 contracts are down there. In fact, our large lot tracker, this little white line here, is showing that, well, about 2/3 of them is one individual actor providing that liquidity. Okay? So that's what we're doing here in this current market window here, taking the numeric values in the book, painting it into a heat map. The scale of the heat map's up here. Red is very high liquidity, then orange, then yellow, white, blue, and then the lowest liquidity is black. Okay, so that's all it is. That's all the heat map is. It's just liquidity. And what we do, though, and what's interesting here, is we take the liquidity and we transpose it on the chart historically. So now you know the history of the behavior in the auction. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit, and because we're seeing some pretty interesting stuff right now. Okay, look at this breakout here to the upside, okay, of this structural element. And I'll go over the structural elements here in just a minute. But this is not really microstructure, but you know, it's a few minutes of data. But the buyers, they lifted the offer rather quickly. Okay, now what are they doing here on the offer? Okay, this is where they were with high liquidity on the offer. Well, they didn't want to trade here. They pulled. Okay, they pulled their liquidity here. Okay, where did they add it? Well, they're adding it up in here. Look at how they're adding in up at these levels, 42 on up to 44, 45. 45 has been in the book for a long time. Okay, we know all this information by looking at the heat map historically and current as well. Okay, now what's their behavior on the bid? Well, look at them bid it up. Okay, we just broke out of this area. Now there's buyers down here, up here at what, 36.5, 37.5, 38, 39, etc. Okay, we just saw another breakout of this structure right here. Okay, and here they are. Here are the buyers. This is the kind of volume that's required to break it out of that area. Now, are we going to accept or reject above this area? It's looking pretty good. Let's see if they're pulling here at 45, and let's see if they add up here on the bid, and they are. They're bidding up higher here. Okay, and let's see if the aggressive buyers start to step in here and test 45 now. Okay, that's what we're looking for right now. Looking for the buyers to test 45. Okay, so just very, very simple stuff, putting it together. Now, I haven't defined the other elements yet on the Bookmap chart. There's our test into 45 right there. Okay, and let's see if there's follow through. And the highest liquidity is up here at 48. Okay, and let's look at the figure too, 50. Well, not a lot of liquidity up there, but high liquidity here at 48. Right. Anyway, all right, let's zoom out a little bit, and I just want to show that you know, we're going through the dome here, and we're looking at the current market when we zoom in. Okay, and we're understanding the behavior here that we just covered, them pulling and adding, etc. Okay, and that's the using the dome. Okay, for the rather recent historical market, but we can zoom out. Okay, and we get a bigger picture approach here of what's going on. Okay, let's zoom out completely and let's look at the entire cash session here. Okay, well, here we go. And this is all live. All of these levels are live. Look at that up here at 62, 523 contracts. That's quite a bit. Okay, for the NASDAQ E-mini. Okay, what about our figure up here? Well, there's still not a lot. They're actually front running the figure, as you can see here, with 168 contracts up at that 48 level we were just looking at. Okay, so the higher level liquidity, you know, we can start to understand and use the dome on much higher time frames now, okay, because we have it all recorded. Okay? And we can start to understand where larger players might be layering into their positions, like down here, that area that we just noticed at the beginning of the webinar here, or about midpoint, how they traded into this 34 area here, okay, and how it actually traded. Okay, these guys are long. We knew that, right? Well, it did test down below it, okay, but we didn't find more sellers, and now we're above that area, and we broke out to the upside here. Okay, so you have this information in front of you, and you can use it. Right? We know that's where they were, okay, and we see the reaction to all of these buyers here. Okay, now again, I've only covered the heat map so far. So let's go over the other two elements on the Bookmap chart, and then we'll wrap it up here and move on to the next webinar. Okay, so the other two elements on this Bookmap chart is the historical and current best bid and offer, and then the volume that traded there. And I'm going to show you a candlestick chart here, okay, 5-minute candlestick chart, and let's actually take off everything else here. We're going to take off all of the those three elements, and just look at this 5-minute candlestick chart. Okay. All right, now we know we're all familiar with this view of the market, open, high, low, and close of a 5-minute period, and it's only 4 data points here. All the data and understanding of what took place here is completely opaque to us. We only have 4 data points. It's all locked within this candle here. So we don't know what really happened there. We're really getting closed off to some very, very important data here. Okay, and let's open it up here simply by showing the historical best bid and offer. And now we can start to look at microstructure. Very, very simple way of just not aggregating the data, starts to break down price and start to give us information to really what occurred here, okay, in these price swings, because the candles, and we don't know. Like, for example, we can look right at this area here, and we see all sorts of structure, okay, and breakouts and acceptance, and like I was mentioning earlier. Okay, and let's go over it here. So, whoops, it's not the one I wanted. Hold on just a minute. Okay, here's a structure. We broke out of it. Okay, we came back and retested our 34 area. Well, that's where they were willing to provide liquidity. Okay, and here's our other breakout that we just witnessed as well. Okay, now look at that breakout actually failed. We're right back into the range now. All right, so let's see if we can get back down and test the bottom of the range here around our 34 level, okay, where we saw buyers earlier as well. And we'll see if those buyers are still there or not. If they're not, and they're not going to support it, I'm looking for maybe the point of control down here at this level around 25, or maybe the bottom of the range here. Okay. Just by looking at microstructure, or this isn't even microstructure, but we can zoom in and take a look at that microstructure. Okay. But understanding that structure, these structural areas are critical. Okay. Now let's put the volume and the transactions onto the chart. That's our third element here on the Bookmap chart. Okay. Now we really have some insight in terms of what's going on, who's in control at specific areas, because we can see precisely the volume that traded. Okay. Green dot is an aggressive market buy order. Red dot is an aggressive market sell. Okay. And we can zoom in, and we don't have time today, but we'll go over it maybe tomorrow. If you want to know the specifics of what you're looking at here, we will just zoom right in there and show you exactly how we're recording the volume. And this is quite typical. Look at the volume clusters here, and more buyers at higher highs, and again here at higher highs. Okay, but this one's it did not accept above the breakout range, and we're actually finding sellers here. And we're right back down to our 34 kind of level here, and we're down to the swing low. Okay, this is where that transaction took place in the heat map. Okay, by those sellers. Let's put the heat map back on. Okay, now we're getting a complete view of what's going on in price. And let's take our candlestick off here. And you can see this is where those transactions took place. And are they here again? No. Okay, we know that they're not here. So let's see if the sellers can take this lower. Okay, and we're looking for, oh, I forgot what I had marked up here. I think around this 25 level. I also like the swings down here around 28. Now I already see them here at 28 in the book. And then looking for the other lower levels here as well. Okay? This all took place due to this failed breakout up here. Okay, this move to the downside here. All right. Let's see here. You want to take a look at Apple? Yeah, no, Sun. I can give you the link to the advanced order flow webinar on Friday if you like. Okay, but in terms of Apple, I need to go, but let's just zoom out here, and I want to show one thing about stocks here. This is just fantastic. I like it quite a bit, and just even more transparency here because they're thinner markets. Look at the larger players here. Okay, here's our 9:30 open, okay, and the volume really picks up. Well, you can already see where the larger players are. Okay, high liquidity up here at 222. High liquidity at the open down here at this level at 218, 217, 216, okay? And they're still in the book. In fact, actually, you can see these guys actually started to pull a little bit at 216, but they're back in the book here. 215, well, you already know at the open where they are. That's pretty good information, okay? And start to really understand. Look at 50,000 shares down here at 215. Okay, we have full depth of market here. Okay, this is fact. Right now, we need to see if they stay in the book when price comes down toward them. Okay? But we already know where they are, and that's really, really good information. Does this line up with some of the levels you're interested in trading? Well, now you know there's others that want to trade there as well. Okay. All right, guys, we got to wrap it up, and we will catch up with you tomorrow. Okay, take care.